He's back. Meta says Donald Trump's Facebook and Instagram accounts will be reinstated in the coming weeks. The move comes 2 years after Trump's accounts were suspended over posts related to January 6th. Our Hallie Jackson spoke with Meta's Nick Clegg about the decision.
We're saying that if you compare it to the circumstances which led to his original suspension, we think the risk to public safety has materially and significantly receded. But that is also the reason why we are introducing those additional guardrails to discourage him from breaking our rules going forward if he chooses to use Facebook and Instagram again.
Twitter owner Elon Musk allowed the former president back onto his platform in November, but so far, Trump has not yet tweeted. Joining me now to discuss only the best, Jacob Ward, NBC News tech correspondent, and Kara Swisher, editor-at-large of New York Magazine and host of the Pivot and On with Kara Swisher podcast. So, Kara, translate this for me. Is Nick Clegg saying, yeah, Trump's a big fat liar, but less people care now, so it's okay to have him back on?
Well, I'm so glad Facebook is assessing the threat to our country, but that's another issue altogether. That was an interesting comment. You know, they had no choice here. They had to put him back on. I think there was no surprise that they were putting him back on to most people. They thought that was going to happen. I think the real problem was a couple of years ago, they didn't make a determination because they didn't know what to do during a really tense moment. And so then this had to be delivered 2 years later. And so I think the only thing that matters here is what's he going to do with it? Is he going to raise money with it? Is he going to make trouble with it, et cetera? And whether the impact is as much as it used to be. I think it's not. I think people have moved on from social networks. And unfortunately, Facebook's getting dragged back into politics right when they were trying to get out. And meanwhile, over to the left, TikTok is eating their lunch from a business point of view and a user point of view.
Then let's talk about the business point of view, Jake. Is this really about content safety or democracy, or is it about money? Does Donald Trump on Facebook bring in big ad dollars?
Well, so he brings in big money, as you and I would consider it, right? He has spent, tens of millions of dollars in advertising on Facebook. Whether that makes any real material difference to Facebook as a platform, I would argue no, right? Facebook is a creature of scale. Some would say a monster of scale. And it's really only, measuring success in the billions of dollars, not the tens or even hundreds of millions. That said, right, his presence on that platform generates tremendous relevance for Facebook. And as a result, Kara says, they don't have a choice. I would argue, they're a company, they can kind of do whatever they want. But, I guess if your point is to, generate attention for yourself and be relevant in the world commerce, be relevant on the world stage, be the place across which world leaders communicate, all that kind of stuff, then absolutely. It also, I think, as Kara points out, makes huge business sense for Donald Trump. I mean, what it is an unrivaled platform for finding and raising money off of people. And that can be in the form, of course, of selling advertising. That can be getting people to sign up for a newsletter. That can be finding the people who are most susceptible to getting addicted to sports gambling, right? That's the kind of stuff that Facebook is fantastic at. In this case, for Donald Trump, it serves this tremendous purpose in raising money. And that, of course, is why it is most likely that he's likely to get back on there and why we've seen him be so slow to move on to Twitter.
Kara, do you agree with that on Trump's side? Is he desperate to get back on so he can get the fundraising machine kicked back up again ahead of 2024?
Yeah, that's where he did very well, the fundraising. And so I think that's good for him. Whether it's good for Facebook or not, I'm not so sure. This is, again, where they didn't want to go. They're trying to head in other directions from a business point of view and compete with places audiences. And I mean, a joke we made at Pivot today was Facebook is finally adding new users. One of the problems is, it's kind of a terrible joke, but it's, they've got to focus in on their actual business, which is getting people to use it. And Facebook doesn't want to seem like a bygone thing. And Trump is pretty bygone from a couple of years ago that consumers don't really like. And so, and then they'll have the problem when he starts making trouble, which he's going to start doing. And this is the idea is, if he makes trouble, I'm like, when? I think when is when we're going to do. And then what do they do? And then they'll get dragged into the whole political thing. And it'll be like a deja vu. And it's a deja vu they can ill afford at this moment in time for their business.
Then why do you think they had to do it? You said they had to do it, Kara. Why? Behind the scenes, was Trump and his team campaigning for it?
I think, well, the House is controlled by the Republicans. I think they don't want to run into trouble there if they lose the Senate, if the Democrats lose the Senate in 2024, or if the presidency changes. They've got to be, they can't, they also would be on the receiving end of enormous attacks. And so that's something they didn't like to do. And they, of course, put themselves in that way by not doing anything about Trump in the first place. And there is a bigger picture of whether our leaders should be able to be heard. And I think that's one thing I do agree with Nick Clegg on, is the good, the bad, and the ugly. But this guy's an exception. He constantly breaks the rules in ways that are so obvious to breaking the rules that I don't know if you can judge every public leader on this guy's bar, because it's pretty low.
Then let's talk about the rules. Jake, what are these new guardrails that Facebook has put in place?
You know, they basically amount to the idea that because he has been a bad actor in the past, if he does it again, then he will be suspended again. It sort of boils down to that. They say that he'll basically be hit with another 2-year suspension. You know, I've been spending today basically going back through some of the things he's been saying on his social platform, Truth Social, ever since he was kicked off of Twitter and Facebook. And, you know, according to these policies that they say they're going to be following for him going forward, I mean, the Truth Social posts, right, are absolutely in violation of that already. He is openly re-truthing, or whatever the verb is, you know, people talking about QAnon and people posting made up, you know, conspiracy theories about this, that, and the other. He reposted somebody who had, in fact, put up a manipulated post in the voice and face of his own daughter. I mean, this guy, as Kara says, is always going to cause trouble. Whether he's doing it on purpose or kind of bumbling into it, I don't know. But he's definitely in violation of these new rules on his own social platform. So I think Kara's absolutely right that this is not if he's going to compete, you know, do something wrong here. It is undoubtedly a when. And then what are they going to do at that point? Slap him again? You know, another 2 years? Not sure yet, you know, but it definitely seems that the past is a good predictor of the future here.
Retruthing, also known as lying. So, Kara, what is to become of Trump's beloved Truth Social and all the financial backers who helped build this thing because they thought this was going to be the far right's Shangri-La led by Trump himself?
Yeah, what a great business that's been. You know, I don't know what to say. I've never thought, you know, I've talked about this is kind of ridiculous. A lot of these businesses are ridiculous. You know, the good ones are seeing problems and having problems around advertising and usage, et cetera. And so, you know, it's just I don't know what to say about Truth Social. I think it's just, it's going to have troubles, let's just say, especially if he moves off of it. You know, these individualized specific sites, whether it's that or whatever, just don't seem to work. There's not enough people and there's not enough yelling. And even things like, you know, what's going to happen here with Facebook is what's happening on Twitter right now, where you have Elon Musk today in just like less than 24 hours let on Nick Fuentes, a very controversial white supremacist figure, and then he kicked him off in the same day. And so it's going to feel like Groundhog Day over and over again for these companies, and that's the last thing they can afford to do.
But Kara, Elon Musk's move with Nick Fuentes is straight out of Trump's playbook. Just create noise, just create conflict, just create drama, so you're the news story. That's what he does, and that's what Trump does.
Yeah, he seems to like attention. Yeah, that seems to be a thing. And so does Trump. And that's what he's going to do here. And so we'll see what happens. But at the heart of it for him, it's fundraising. And it's a really good place to raise money and to sort of find people. And that's what he's done. He did a great job in the last election. You can say whatever you want, but his campaign used Facebook really well compared to a lot of campaigns. And so that's what he's going to do again. It's the same playbook. And whether it works this time, we'll see.
He's going to do it again. The question is, are all those people going to line up and keep paying the guy? Jake Ward, Kara Swisher, there are no two better people to have on a news story like this tonight. Thank you for being here.